This is the Drive-In Podcast. Take one. Bada bing, bada boom. Welcome to the 87th episode of the Drive-In Podcast. On today's episode, we have a top billing draft of the best baseball movies. So use the bathroom now, grab that popcorn, and enjoy the 87th episode of the Drive-In Podcast. Howdy doody. Episode 87 of the Drive-In Podcast has arrived. This is Dr. O on the horn. I'm joined, as always, by Ricky Flicks. Episode 87, shout out Sidney Crosby. Ricky Flicks, how are you doing this evening? Coming off a string of episodes throughout the week. How you holding up?
Holding up well. Can't say, I know we're doing the baseball draft, but I can't say I've watched an entire 9 in a game yet. So I still think I'm qualified for this draft, but I'm not in the baseball mood right now. I don't know.
Well, if you couldn't tell, Ricky Flicks and I are both massive Red Sox fans, well, judging by my attire and judging by Ricky Flicks's backdrop. The Red Sox are under 500 right now. We're 2-3. But we do have maybe the most potent lineup in the American League. So I'm excited for this season. I'm hoping to get to Fenway for a couple of games. I believe we just secured some tickets by way of PKO, a guest of this podcast. Red Sox Yankees tickets in July, right? The dog days of summer. Nothing better than Red Sox Yankee baseball. Ricky Flicks, you excited for that?
Baseball or hockey? Those are like the two best in-person sports to watch. Baseball is just the environment, in the sun, in the summer. No other sports are going on. It's perfect. I love going to baseball games, Fenway Park in particular. That I'm all in for.
So it's very suitable. I had the Sidney Crosby shout out alongside this baseball themed episodes. We call that the best of both worlds. So Ricky Flicks, we got to draft the best baseball movies. What's your familiarity with baseball movies? Would you say this is the sports genre that you're most familiar with?
Yeah, I would say so. There's definitely the most movies out of any sport. Baseball has got to take the helm there, right? Definitely the most. So I think I would, just by default then.
So I guess what I was thinking, like baseball, I think has the deepest draft. If we were to pick from a lot or a pool of movies, I think football has a decent amount of films in their pool as well. But I think the best movies in the sports genre, a lot of them do belong to baseball. So I'm very excited for this draft. And we get a lot of great filmmakers that are attributing some of their best work to baseball films, and a lot of great actors portraying some iconic sports figures, whether they are real or just in the pantheon of great fictional athletes. So I'm excited. I think we should get going. What do you say?
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it.
So how we're going to do this is snake style, just the two of us, right? Ricky Flicks. We do need to decide who's going first. So I wondered if you had a coin on you, Ricky Flicks. He's searching and he has one ready to go. Ricky Flicks is very prepared for this draft. So if you're flipping, I'm calling it, right? That's the way this goes. So I will be going tails never fails. So Ricky Flicks, flip that. Survey says
it's tails.
Tails never fails. Dr. O with the number 1 pick. Thank you very much. All right, Ricky Flicks, let's get it going then. Dr. O is officially on the clock. I assume Ricky Flicks doesn't have any questions going into this draft. I think it's pretty straightforward. So baseball has to play a predominant role in the movie. And so I'm going to lead off here with kind of a Mr. Inevitable, right? Mr. Inevitable. And that's going to be Moneyball, number 1 pick. I think this is, you see a lot of classic baseball movies, all right? Moneyball is a obviously more modern baseball movie, not just by the year it was made, but based on the transition of baseball from this like meathead mentality to more of this analytical mentality. You got Bennett Miller at the helm. You got a tone. I mean, if you look at the movie, just look at the screen, you feel like you're watching almost like I feel like I'm watching like a modern day David Fincher movie. It just looks like that on screen. I can't tell you what it is about the cinematography, but Billy Bean, you got Brad Pitt there. Brad Pitt, honestly, in my opinion, could have won an Oscar for this role. Jonah Hill breakout. He's not just a fat, lovable dude from Accepted or from Superbad. This is a breakout role for him. Academy Award nominated. I do need to say that they play the A's as such an underdog mentality. It goes with like, I guess, hyping up the film, bringing some dramatics to it. But if I'm going to put a realistic perspective on the Oakland A's back in 2003, I do need to say they had all-stars. But if you watch the movie, you would have no idea they did. You would have no idea they had AL MVP Miguel Tejada, all-star third baseman Eric Chavez, starting pitchers, including Barry Zito, Cy Young winner, and Tim Hudson. But by the way this movie operates, it takes that underdog mentality that makes sports movies so watchable and makes the team so likable. And I don't know if there's ever been, like, it's one of the few, I think it's Brad Pitt is such a likable character here as well. Also takes on that underdog mentality, the failure as a player, going to the GM, the prospects of him trying out something new that no other team has done. Innovative movie, and it should be boring for its perspective on analytics, but it's entrancing. It's amazing. Moneyball, I think easy number one pick. Thoughts?
Easy number one pick.
Yeah.
That's quite the take. I think there was two choices here. Number one, it was either the technical choice, the adult choice, which you made, or there's the other end of the spectrum.
The adult choice. That's a good point.
Which I will get to in a second. But Moneyball, we're not even talking Philip Seymour Hoffman, R.I.P. legend, right there, right, going toe to toe with Brad Pitt the entire movie. Love that. Chris Pratt, big role in this movie for a supporting character, pretty big role. So, and this is before the Guardians days, right near the Parks and Rec peak. So the only other thing I'll say about this movie is that it should have won Best Picture. It should have won Best Picture. The artist won. Too. The artist won. The other nominees were The Descendants, decent movie, extremely loud, incredibly close, decent movie. The Help, good movie. This is better. Hugo, love Scorsese, but lower tier Scorsese. Tree of Life, that movie sucks. Another Brad Pitt movie. Warhorse, Spielberg, maybe his worst movie ever. And then Midnight in Paris, great movie. But
what a weak crop. What a weak crop.
Weak. So, and Moneyball, Sorkin writing. Like, how did this not win? It's just because it's a sports movie. They didn't want to give it to a sports movie. So, yes, this is the best movie ever in the genre of baseball. But is it the number one pick? I think it depends how you look at it. Like I said at the top of
this is the new wave.
Pick here.
This is the new wave. And baseball, when you look at the history of like baseball movies, there's a lot of all-time classics, a lot of movies that are accepted as just iconic and as some that are just the best sports movie ever made. And there's no one really that you can budge from that perspective. But Moneyball, I think, helped make baseball relevant in modern day baseball, a little bit relevant compared to what we see with, I'm not going to tease any picks here, but I think you make a great point saying this was like for adults. A lot of the baseball movies that we're going to list today, we watched as kids and we found so rewatchable as children, and maybe we don't return to as adults. Moneyball, when that thing pops on Netflix and I see like the new streaming options for the month, when it pops on, I'm watching it the first day it's available, you know? And do you agree with what I said before? It's like a certain dramatism to this movie that almost reminds me of the way it's shot, just like a Fincher movie. It just looks
the
so
cinematography
weird,
is darker, like the actual image is actually
that might
darker.
be it. Yeah,
and even like on the field, when there's literally lights on the field, they literally dim it down, right? And they have a spotlight on the players, like the actual camera work, like the camera. It's very unique for a sports movie. But again, unbelievable movie, probably the best baseball movie ever. And you picked it. You went the adult route. Congratulations on the pick.
This movie made nerd baseball cool. It made nerd baseball.
People that don't like baseball, like, love this movie. You know,
right.
That's how you know it's good. And like another thing I'll say quickly, actually, is like, you know, the movie Thank You for Smoking, like that movie, people aren't smoking as much. So what does Aaron Eckhart's character do? He tries to pitch to Hollywood to come out with a movie with Brad Pitt smoking. Like what they did, baseball's not cool, quote unquote. The trend's going down. What do? They put Brad Pitt starring in a baseball movie. Then now you get people watching baseball more potentially. So Brad Pitt in a movie makes it cool. Baseball is cool. Moneyball, first overall pick.
Yeah. And I just want to say, as I wrap up this pick, I know it's been a little bit, the best scenes in this movie like aren't on the diamond, which you can't say about like most of these other movies. The best scenes, in my opinion, where you have Brad Pitt working with Jonah Hill at the trade deadline, okay, trying to acquire Rincon at the deadline to make sure that they're poised for the postseason, and the tension in that scene, and then the likability of Jonah Hill clenching the fist, simply iconic. And then we see the tenacity of Brad Pitt in that scene. Moneyball, number 1 pick. Ricky Flicks, your first round pick, 2nd overall. All you.
All right, so I'm going the other end of the spectrum. I'm going nostalgia. I'm going childhood. I'm going The Sandlot. The Sandlot is the most iconic baseball movie, the most quotable, and it's ageless. You could show it to any age, and you'll still love this movie, even though it's a kid's movie. And you can show it at any point in time. It doesn't matter what it's going to be right now, 10 years ago, or 10 years in the future. It's going to be the same. Love The Sandlot. Benny the Jet. Give me my boy Squints, who's a dog. Love The Sandlot. My favorite baseball movie. And I get it with the 2nd overall pick.
So baseball is called America's pastime. And when I think of this movie, I just think of the term American pastime. You said it's timeless. This movie came out in 1993. We were born after this movie was made, yet we watched it endless amounts of time on VHS. Probably the most watched VHS in the Alekna household. Would you agree, Ricky Flex?
That's a tough one, actually. I think so.
Gotta be.
I think so.
And not only is it a great baseball movie, but it's a fantastic summer movie, you know? So it just has that vibe, whether it's like at the pool with Wendy Peppercorn or just playing baseball with your friends at the park. It just has a special feeling to it. Just definition of nostalgia. I mean, you talk about Benny the Jet, PF Flyers. I literally love this movie so much. I bought PF Flyers off Amazon at the age of 22 years old. The movie has not escaped me even to this day. I was shocked that it wasn't streaming on Disney Plus. When I knew we were going to be doing this draft, Ricky, and we were thinking about movies to review this week, I immediately thought Sandlot, Disney Plus. And guess what? All they had on there was Sandlot 2 and then a Sandlot spinoff film. Just an absolute disgrace. An absolute disgrace to not have the original Sandlot always on deck on Disney Plus. Great pick. This was actually my number 2. So if you, for some reason, skipped over Sandlot, I was ready to go with the number 3 overall.
Yeah, no chance. With my 2nd pick, the 3rd overall pick in the draft, I'm going to go the opposite route of what I just did. I'm going adult, and it's known as the adult version because it's rated R. I'm going Major League. Major League. Give me Wild Thing. Give me Charlie Sheen throwing absolute heaters from the mound. Moving the team to Florida? I don't think so. I hate this effing song. Just a bit outside. More quotes. Love Major League. R-rated. Get me an R-rated on my board right after the Sandlot. Major League.
This is like Sandlot for men. That's the way I view it. You know how you have so many quotable lines in the Sandlot. I feel like you also have the same thing for Major League, except they might be inappropriate, like you were talking about, and you were just citing. It just feels like the camaraderie of the group, of the team is amazing, just like it was in the Sandlot. It's just not appropriate for anyone below high school age, you know? And my favorite Charlie Sheen role of all time. I don't know about you. It's my favorite. Him and also like Charlie Harper in 2.5 Men. Those are his 2 best, right? Him at the peak of his powers. But Rick Vaughn is one of my favorite movie characters in sports movie history. So
great Halloween costume.
Awesome Halloween costume, right? Looks great as a four-eyed closer. And I said like Serrano, the supporting cast here. You got Tom Berenger at catcher, romance with Rene Russo. This movie's fire. This movie's great. It's rewatchable. One of the most in a lot of rewatchable movies with the baseball.
Now they're the Cleveland Guardians. They didn't move to Florida, but now they're the Guardians.
And dude, the guys in the stands banging the drums.
Yes.
Yes, it's gone. You know, like those guys are legendary supporting
Bob Uecker, just a bit outside, drinking on the job. Like, unbelievable movie. And again, R-rated. Like R-rated. Like when you think baseball movies, you don't really think adult too much. And if you do, you think back in the day or PG-13. This is like R-rated to the max here. Love it.
R-rated to the max. So that's your second round pick, third overall. Ricky Flicks now has The Sandlot and Major League on his board. It now goes to me for my second round pick, fourth overall. So let's assess, Ricky. So here's what I'm going to do. For the number four overall pick, we're going The Natural. We're going The Natural. So there's another movie I'm going to take next that seems like it's always on like the top 2 or 3 best baseball movies, sometimes arguably number 1, but The Natural has a special place in my heart. I think it's mainly because of Robert Redford. And Robert Redford, even though he looks a little too old to be playing a Major League Baseball player in this movie, he's charming, you know, he's dashing. He's a multifaceted 5-tool player. He can not only do everything in the field, cannot do everything at the plate, but we know he was a former great pitcher. The story's a little wacky. When I was a kid, I just like adored this movie, just like wanting the Wonder Boy bat, you know. But as I see like the beginning of the movie, how he got shot in the first place and how there's a connection to how he got shot and the team he's now on, I'm like, okay, as I'm getting older, this is like a little far-fetched. It's a little bit out there, but it's got that old-timey feel, that America Pastime type feel. And I did draft the Wonder Boy bat when it came to items in Christmas movies or items in movies that I would want for Christmas. And I think it's deservedly so, like to have the Wonder Boy bat there. I think any kid, they should make like a line of aluminum bats for little leaguers that look like the Wonder Boy bat. The movie's it hasn't aged as well, I would say. It kind of has that grainy type of look to it, but I'm happy with taking The Natural as my number 2 pick.
The Natural, great movie. You got the Wonder Boy bat on your board, like you said. You got the Great Knights jerseys on your board and hats. People just buy that merch, similar to how they buy like the Whalers merch, right? That's great merch on your board. Like you said, it's a little old, even though this was 1984. It looks even older, which kind of is odd.
Seems intentional,
the movie,
though.
Yeah, definitely. Robert Duvall, like cartoonist / writer in this, newspaper writer in this.
I like that.
Barely any, like, I wish he got a little more screen time, but because he was good, but he didn't get a lot of screen time. Like you said,
in a minute. I don't even know. I don't remember. I haven't seen this movie in so long, but I just have an adoration for it. Like him as the cartoonist. That's such like we're talking about the old school feel, like him drawing cartoons, like as like instead of taking notes.
That was cool though.
So old time. I love it.
Yeah. And like you said, this movie was kind of all over the place because you got like potential murder, like loves, like Glenn Close, like Robert Redford-ish situations going on. Like this movie's a little all over the place. And the ending's all-time ending. This is off of a book, by the way. And in the book, he dies after hitting the home run. Spoiler alert for the book, but I don't think anyone was going to read it. But that's...
Hey, I'm a big-time reader now, Ricky Flicks. You know that.
But again, The Natural is a great movie, great name. The Natural, it's a very good name for a movie that's about a pitcher going to hitter. He's just a natural-born baseball player. And my final thing is, doctor, question. Do you know how old Robert Redford was when he played this character?
He was like 50.
He was 38.
I remember. I thought it was greatly exaggerated, but he actually, because you hear stories of like how he doesn't look like the prototypical, like around, I would say like veteran 28 to 30 years old. I always thought like it was almost like a Clint Eastwood situation. How Clint Eastwood likes to play, like put himself in these as like these younger characters, although he's like 30 years over age, you know. I thought that was the same thing here. And Robert Redford is basically a fossil now. No offense, Robert Redford, but like
85, something like that.
I think he's even older, dude. He's an old guy. So I thought like this movie I mean, I thought he was just going to be older anyway, but it's kind of an aging baseball player anyway. Like he's not someone who's just kickstarting his career right out of high school. He's a guy who was held back, but he's so naturally gifted that he's starting his career later on. So it actually kind of does line up more so than people give him credit.
Agreed.
Yeah. This movie just has some type of magic to it. It just does have that, and him rounding the bases at the end after hitting the lights out, it just has that special sports moment, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm happy.
It has the sports moment. That's key.
Huge, right? Him rounding the bases, Robert Redford, American icon, representing the national pastime. Next up, kicking off the third round after the natural, I'm getting a steal at number 5 by getting Bull Durham. I am. And there's a reason why I took it in the third round. I do love the natural, but like if you look at most lists of like best baseball movies, you're gonna find Bull Durham arguably 1, 2, or 3. I don't like it as much as the natural. I don't like it as much as Major League. All right. So this is like literally number 5 spot is kind of perfect for this. So when I see Bull Durham, obviously you think of one of the best like sports actors with Kevin Costner, one of the best baseball actors, right, for this genre with Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon. I never was like a buyer into her looks and like this allure that she has. I'm like, I don't want to get too much into it. I don't mean to offend Susan Sarandon. I know she is a lovely woman and she's had an amazing career as an actress, but I didn't necessarily buy her for the role that she was playing, but she was trying to sell us good. Tim Robbins, wacky, and it's kind of like obviously the polar opposite to like this straight edged, hard-nosed baseball player that was Kevin Costner's character in this movie. But I like it because it has like the romance that isn't as associated with baseball. Then you have the romance that's actually going on off the diamond with like basically the groupie of the team, so still hilarious. It also has like a big part of baseball. It's not just Major League Baseball, but minor league baseball and the fanaticism that goes with that. We just went to the Hartford Yard Goats game, which is a AA team for the Colorado Rockies. So like you see, like there is like a cult fandom for these types of teams that is believable. So like seeing this woman follow the team so closely and these like other fans follow the team so closely, it's just like, yeah, I believe it as you get older. Obviously more of a mature baseball movie, but I remember seeing this when I was young. So my dad's like, you got to see Bull Durham. You gotta. And we talked about the romanticism and then also like the great send off for Kevin Costner's character. Doesn't achieve what he wants to necessarily, but gets to go home with the girl.
Yeah.
Right?
So it was a happy ending, but is it like it is, but like not your typical baseball happy ending? I think that's one of the reasons why would have been for me. This is a 5th rounder. This is
my God, dude, get out of here. Bull Durham is not a 5th round pick. That is disgraceful.
For a 10-person draft, this is an 8 through 10. God. I just couldn't do it. The Susan Sarandon character, I think you summed up perfectly. I think this has great individual moments, but as a movie and as a whole, I just can't buy it. This is going to be my hot take of the draft here.
Tim Robbins, Ricky,
he's good.
His performance alone makes this arguably a top 5 picture with Kevin Costner.
Hey, if we're talking about best movies, best baseball movies, like the best, similar to what I mentioned with the Moneyball comment, this will be top 5. But is it in my favorite, like a combination of best and favorite, what a top billing is for me? Not in my top 5, not in my top 6 or 7.
Is Susan Sarandon the core reason why this doesn't make like your top 5?
It's a big reason.
Like a 5th round pick?
It's a pretty big reason.
Why? You don't think she's good in the role?
I don't know, man. I didn't like the vibes. I didn't like the vibes of Tim Robbins and her, or like everything. I just didn't love it. I'm not going to I will watch it again. I've seen it a bunch of times, but it's not like I don't like the movie. It's a great movie. I just think compared to some other things on the board, I got some nostalgia picks. I'd rather pick over that. I don't know, man. I'll go with my next 2 and that are both above it. And I know you're going to crap on me for it, but I'll just segue. I think it's kind of like Bull Durham because it has the same lead actor. I'm taking Field of Dreams.
Overrated movie. overrated.
I disagree.
Movie. I'm doing it now.
I am talking. This is my pick. This is my pick. So I used to be on the overrated train. But this is the classic movie where you watch it when you're young. You watch it with your dad or your mom, and you watch it, and you're just like, this movie's boring. This movie is not it. But as you get older, this movie gets better and better every time you watch it. Every single time you watch it, you understand it more. It hits home more. The cornfields get to you. Ray Liotta's character gets to you. You see those iconic jerseys on that old school style field. Fenway Park, James Earl Jones, Field of Dreams with my third pick. I think that's the perfect spot for it. I have it as number 5. Field of Dreams.
It's not better than Bull Durham. There's not enough baseball in it. There's just not. They
you picked Moneyball.
Moneyball is about the transformation of baseball.
Field of Dreams is about him connecting with his family. Dead father.
It's about family. Exactly.
Yes, Field of Dreams.
Yes, but it's not as much about baseball. But I do want to say, like, there are aspects to Field of Dreams I like. I think it's boring. That's what I'll say. It's boring. And I think James Earl Jones is great. His introductory scene is amazing. James Earl Jones makes this movie. For anyone who hasn't seen the movie, I won't go into too much, but his introductory scene, meeting Kevin Costner, the hand in the jacket, and then also his amazing monologue, right? Walking onto the field, that makes it worth watching. But the movie doesn't have a lot going on during it. It's a lot of, like, you talked about it, the family interaction, the father's son. It's like feeling bad for the father. The best legacy this movie has is that every single movie that followed it and tried to build upon a father-son relationship ends with them having a catch. That's the biggest. That's the biggest legacy, but it's also like the biggest, like, I don't know. It's like a cop out. It's just like a way, like, oh, classic. I have to want to play catch. We just saw the Adam Project. The Adam Project doesn't have the ending it has, right, without Field of Dreams.
That's a big pro for this movie.
That movie's not very good, though.
I agree.
But if you build it, they will come. Iconic line, but also I don't know. It just doesn't stick the same.
The cornfields, like,
yes, Shoeless Joe Jackson.
The Yankees and White Sox just had a game because of this movie at a cornfield in Iowa.
Yes, I get it, because, like, I mean, they're not going to play where Bull Durham plays for a Major League Baseball game. It has some, like, weird authenticity to the movie.
Exactly.
I give you that. But there's just not very exciting. And we talk about why Moneyball is the number 1 pick. Although there's not baseball going on, it's exciting. The performances are unbelievable all the way around. Whether you go Phillips Seymour.
I was just counteracting the no baseball point. That's all.
Come on. I can't.
As a third rounder, Field of Dreams, rounder.
I've always said this movie's overrated. It's not bad, but it's not the best baseball movie. It's not top 3.
You appreciate it more as you go on. That's why it's a 6th overall pick here. All right. Okay. My 4th pick here, the 7th overall pick. I might get flack for this again, but I don't know, because I like this better than Bull Durham too. A League of Their Own. Give me Tom Hanks. I like. There's no crying in baseball, Dr. Rowe.
We don't have.
There's no crying in baseball.
We're not arguing. A League of Their Own getting picked at number 8 at number 7. Excuse me, is a good pick.
Yeah, I have it as number 7 on my board. I argued with 6. A League of Their Own. I mentioned Tom Hanks. You got a little Madonna. Sauce me some Madonna there. World War II vibes. You're the history guy. World War II vibes. A story might not know about. I for sure didn't before watching this movie. Shined some light on it. And at the end of the day, this movie is all about Tom Hanks, in my opinion. But this movie, awesome. The jersey's great. World War II vibes, like I said. A League of Their Own. 7th overall pick. My 4th pick.
Yeah, dude, I think this is a perfect spot for it. I think this is better than Field of Dreams, to be honest. And why is this so good? Well, Tom Hanks, this is primetime Tom Hanks. Mid-90s Tom Hanks, right? He's about to go in his Forrest Gump run, Philadelphia run, right? What's he doing before that? He's playing a baseball manager of a woman's team. I love the historical era. You already mentioned it. I'm a historian. I love, like, the setting that they give this movie, and supporting cast. Great supporting cast here. I believe it's Gina Davis, female lead here. like she should have been. When I saw this movie as a kid, I was like, this girl is like the biggest movie star of all time. She just has it, she just had it, whatever that was. Like she just commanded the screen and she owned that movie alongside Tom Hanks, like toe to toe with Tom Hanks. And I think she was like, I rooted for her so much harder than her sister. I hated her sister in this movie.
Agreed.
And I like Madonna just eats this role up. Madonna's best role. And like when they go out during the bar scene, it's one of my favorite like scenes in any like movie in general. And I forgot what the girl's name is, like the overweight, like kind of a beat up looking girl. Like she just beat up. That's really offensive.
Yeah,
but, like,
that's mean. But father, widowed father.
Right. No, but she's also so likable, and like her singing, it's like pre-karaoke, just her grabbing the mic and going at it. Very nice scene. We'll have you rolling on the floor. Yeah. There's no crying in baseball. That's great. And you nailed it. Like this is a perfect for what, 4th round pick?
Yeah, 7 overall.
Nice. All right. So this is where it gets a little interesting. So Moneyball, Natural, Bull Durham. We're on to my 4th round pick. I'm going with a classic. When I say classic, I mean older. And there was a remake made to this movie that it's not terrible, but it certainly ain't good. And the original, I remember my dad showing this movie to me growing up, and I found it continuously rewatchable as a 90s kid into the 2000s, even though this movie's from 1976. And that's The Bad News Bears. Walter Matthau, right? We talk about Kelly Leak. A PG movie that feels like it could be rated R. It was like one of the, how we say like Poltergeist is scary. It's a PG movie. All your friends say, oh, our family let us watch, like, or our mom let us watch Poltergeist because it's only rated PG. It would be R today though, bro. It would be R today. This was the comedic version with Bad News Bears. They tried to do it with Billy Bob Thornton. They went a little over the line doing so, and they tried to be too cool when like Walter Matthau was just a degenerate drunk. Kicked the remake's butt. Walter Matthau, like talk about iconic baseball manager type roles. We've already talked about Philip Seymour Hoffman, not necessarily iconic, but we just talked about Tom Hanks in this type of role. And he's like following almost in the legacy of like Walter Matthau, one of the great actors in the history of Hollywood. And I can't get out of my mind the scene of Kelly Leak catching the strike, saying throw a little harder next time, and him jacking it 400 feet. I wanted to be Kelly Leak in Little League. Everyone wanted to be Kelly Leak. And the kids who didn't know who Kelly Leak was, I made sure like I would tell them who Kelly Leak was, just because he is we talk about legends in Williamsport, right? With the Little League baseball, where you talk about Monet Davis and like all these other guys who are basically 16 from the Dominican Republic playing. Who started it all? Who was the initial Little League GOAT? Kelly Leak. Bad News Bears.
Yeah, it's like we are Sandlot 90s kids, early 2000s kids, so we think, oh, our guy's Benny the Jet, Sandlot. But before Benny the Jet, before the Sandlot, it was always Kelly Leak. Kelly Leak started it all, but even more so than Benny because of the cockiness, that aspect of it, and just he's an a-hole. Like he's just an a-hole. But Bad News Bears, the original, fantastic movie. Honestly, I was a little afraid to pick it because I have not seen it in a while. So I don't know if it aged as well. I literally don't even know where I would watch it. I have to Google it. But great movie, as my memory serves me correct. And the beers at the end, hilarious. Walter Matthau, like you said. So great pick.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. I feel like Kelly Leak is the more badass version of Benny the Jet.
Yeah, because Benny's like a nice kid. Like Small's like, I'll give you a true glove, or I'll put you in left field and I'll make you throw. I don't know, like just helping him out, easing him along into the group. Whereas Kelly's like, get out of my freaking way, and I don't want to hang out with any of you.
Push them away to catch the fly ball,
right?
Just to guarantee you get the out.
Right.
Dude, when the kids are drinking beers at the end of the game, like this movie is unbelievable. I'm gonna see if this is streaming. This is a potential throwback review. Like the Bad News Bears were an awesome throwback. Check right now if it's streaming. Potential throwback in the near future. Or I'm just gonna watch it tonight.
It's Rotten Tomatoes score.
I'm guessing high. I'm gonna guess mid-90s.
97.
Damn. 97.
It's on Hulu, but I'm not. I think it's yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
We pay for the premium package, so we should get the Bad News Bears, and I'm
Yeah,
going
it's a
to
premium
watch that
subscription.
tonight. I will send a tweet tonight regarding the Bad News Bears. So now on to the 5th round. This is where it gets tough, because do I go with a movie that I declare is just as good as Field of Dreams, or I maybe just a hair below, or do I go with one that I've watched so many times and I just love? There are so many different ways you could go here, Ricky. I think you're having a similar dilemma right now. Like, I don't think it really matters what I pick right now. I think there's one movie that's clearly, I don't know, actually. I have one that's obscure. Not many people have seen. I'm going to save that for honorable mention. I got one that also emphasizes off the field scenarios. So I'm not going to choose that one. I have one that is childhood nostalgia. I got one that's also childhood. I got 3 childhood nostalgia ones. What do you think, Ricky? Do I go something that's deep in my heart? Do I do the best movie, or do I go a hybrid?
You mentioned Field of Dreams, so I'm interested to see what you think is around there.
This is the toughest pick of the draft, Ricky. We like looking at these 8 that have been picked. These are all bangers. And then this is where it can get dicey.
I'll tell you. I'll give you a little hint.
Don't give me a hint.
Okay. Then you pick.
I'm just asking, like, do I go with my heart or do I go with my head? That's just how I feel like I just have to go with my heart, because this is a podcast and we go with how we feel. And if I feel like I can't leave anything on the field here, I can't leave anything on the diamond. So I haven't seen this movie in a long time, a very long time. But one of the most, we talked about rewatchable movies as a kid. And The Sandlot was one of them. The other one, Angels in the Outfield. 5th round pick, Angels in the Outfield. Young McConaughey, young Joseph Gordon-Levitt, somewhat younger Tony Danza. Talk about great managers too. What's the actor's name? Danny Glover. Seeing Joseph Gordon-Levitt rise and become see his career and go from this movie to 10 Things I Hate About You to starring in Nolan movies, and then seeing what he's doing today. We don't talk about some of the movies he's done, but just because he's kind of on the lull right now. But this movie was so touching. It's so family friendly, but also it just gives you ultimate baseball vibes. And it has you root for the main character so hard. These orphans, how they're going to be hopefully adopted by these players, and they're going to be saved by this quote unquote angel throughout. Christopher Lloyd as the angel is perfect casting. Just such a charming movie. I'm doing that with my 5th round pick. Angels in the Outfield. Ricky Flex, any thoughts?
Adrian Brody also in this.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's
a player.
Yeah. So I wasn't going to pick that, but I respect the pick. I think this movie, when you watch it when you're older, it's like crap. Maybe this isn't as good, but all the stars that are in it, all the actors that are in it that weren't stars at the time, but now when you watch it, you're just starstruck because there's so many of them, and you just see a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and it's just wow, this is just wild how all these people were just in this movie. And it has a bunch of other people that but you don't know their names, a bunch of actors that are in a bunch of famous movies, but they're always minor supporting characters, and you're oh wow. And also the old California Angels logo and jerseys, very cool. Good pick. Good 5th rounder. I like the nostalgia here.
I'm happy I made the nostalgia pick, but it goes back to the argument that I have had previously with friends regarding baseball movies, and I'll reveal what that argument is. You might take this final movie at the 10 spot, and that's where I'll address the movie, or else I'll do it in honorable mentions. But Angels in the Outfield next to The Sandlot, I mean, that was on a lot in the Electa household, along with another movie that's still on the board. We were a big fan of baseball movies as kids. Love them.
Yes, and when you said is Sandlot the movie that you watched the most? There was one where I was I honestly might have watched this close to the same amount of times.
I know what you're thinking of,
but I don't know if I want to pick it, and I don't want to say the movie yet, because I think like when you think of the most iconic baseball scenes in a movie, you can just go like Field of Dreams playing catch. You can go Bull Durham, Tim Robbins letting up the home run. You can go a lot of different ways here. Charlie Sheen, Wild Thing. But there's one that is above the rest. And this probably loses me the draft, but it is the best baseball scene there is, and it's Naked Gun.
Oh my God, we're gonna count this. We're gonna count this. Is that what we're doing? One scene where he plays an umpire? Are we really resorting to this? We're stooping to this level. I feel like I'm being cheated right now because that scene is so good. He's not even playing.
Reggie Jackson, the Queen, OJ.
No, you can't just drop OJ. You can't just drop OJ. He shows up in the stands 10 minutes after the scene.
In the wheelchair.
Hey, OJ, Ricky.
Okay.
I can't believe you just took it. Which Naked Gun is this? You drafted it. I'm letting you take it.
Yeah, it's the first one, no?
They all have something after it, don't they?
Oh, Naked Gun and a Half.
Is it? You look it up right now. You need to get the name right if you're going to draft this. I can't believe you're drafting this. The scene is unbelievable. One of the best comedic scenes of all time. Popular in all minor league stadiums whenever there's a strikeout. He's looking it
the
up
Naked
right now.
Gun. The Naked Gun.
It's just a Naked Gun.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't believe you took this.
Enrico Palazzo.
Explain your pick further.
No, it's just Leslie Nielsen is just on one in this movie. Just completely on one, but it's the scene itself that is so mesmerizing and so just legendary. And yes, there are better baseball movies on the board here. I went with my heart like I did with most of this draft. Like the ones I was toying with was the one that I was referring to as I watched it so many times as a kid, Rookie of the Year.
We'll talk about it.
Henry Rowan Gardner. And the other one I was thinking about was Fever Pitch. I'm looking at the Red Sox there. Huge Red Sox guy. Only good movie Jimmy Fallon's ever done. But The Naked Gun, Leslie Nielsen, like just unbelievable, crazy movie. Like doesn't make any sense a lot, but it's just a comedy, just throwing at you airplane vibes, and then you get the baseball scene at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I had it on my list, Ricky. I can't say I had it on my list. We'll talk about the honorable mentions in a sec. I think The Naked Gun is maybe the most underrated comedy franchise of all time. The comedic genius of Leslie Nielsen and those writers, I think goes unnoticed. They fly way under the radar. And if you go on like movie Instagram, you see what's trending. A lot of times you'll find reels of scenes from Naked Gun movies. And people are starting to realize from a younger generation how funny these movies are. And it's really painful to look at the comments on those Instagram reels to see like people have no idea who Leslie Nielsen is. Rest in peace to a GOAT. And I just love those movies. They are so funny. They're great to return to. Our parents showed us those movies as a kid. It goes with great like comedic franchises. Like we talked about the Pink Panther growing up watching those. The Marx Brothers movies that we grew up watching almost has like a similar comedy. I think our dad just had like a favorite type of comedy, and those like all three of those franchises just kind of line up, you know. Interesting pick. That scene is such a legendary scene though. I can't believe you picked it. But you brought up an honorable mention, Rookie of the Year. The thing about this one, as you said with Angels in the Outfield, if you rewatched it now, you might be like, how did I ever like this movie?
Right.
That's why I held back a little bit. It was a nostalgia pick. I was never going to make during the time, like when I was a kid, Chet Steadman was my hero, dude.
Gary Busey.
That's like before I knew who Gary Busey was. And as you figured out who Gary Busey was and you find out why he made that movie in the first place, like rehabilitating his image of some sort, like it just feels like it just loses some of the magic that it had as a kid. I wanted to learn the eephus pitch. I wanted to try it so much in Little League, but at the same time, I was thinking to myself, like, this is going to come right back at me and crack me in the face if I throw an eephus pitch, right? To like the best kid in Little League. He's going to yak it on me, or he's just going to like destroy my face. And the manager is hilarious. And one of the greatest comedic performances as a child, like looking back on by Daniel Stern. Hot ice.
Hot ice.
It's the best of both worlds. And like him getting trapped between the doors. Okay. One of the great mentors in movie baseball.
Henry Blowers.
Rubenhauser. And the guy, Jack, one of the most hateable characters in movie history.
Yeah, that guy sucks.
Just his mom was dating him.
Pepsi commercial.
Pepsi. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Very nice. But him throwing that dart in the first part of the movie, electric scene.
Yes.
And it also made you want to like break your arm as a kid.
Yes.
Wondering if it would come back stronger.
You wanted to either get bitten by a spider and become Spider-Man or break your arm and become Henry Rowan-Gardner.
Right. Exactly. Just you were trying to make it to the pros any way possible, right? We had people ask you what's your dream job, Major League Baseball player. How are you going to do that? I'm going to snap my arm in half. What's another honorable mention you have, Ricky?
Another one. I mentioned Fever Pitch.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Fever Pitch.
Huge Red Sox fan. Drew Barrymore. I'm not a huge Drew Barrymore fan, but I loved her in this. Her getting hit in the face with the baseball is so funny. Low key, like the best scenes are with his group of friends. And like they're picking out the tickets, like the Yankee games, or like he's like Jimmy Fallon's depressed and he's like watching the Buckner film over and over. And
Yastrzemski. Yastrzemski.
The doctor friend, low key, the funniest guy in that movie, the bald guy, analyzing Jimmy Fallon's nuts. Like, just yeah. I love this movie. Drew Barrymore going across, jumping down from center field and going across the field. Love
iconic.
Pitch.
I regret not taking this movie. I have two ahead of I made a bad decision with Angels in the Outfield. I also had another one that I'm going to talk about with honorable mentions. But the guys when he's addressing his balls, he's just like the doctor. He's like, "Don't worry, I'm a doctor." He's like, "I don't remember you asking me to look at my balls." But also the Yankee dancing scene. Oh my god. Oh, I see his toe tapping. His toe tapping. Oh, that's some Yankee. That's some Devil Ray dancing. But that's when like Jimmy Fallon wanted to be an A-lister. He was trying to leave SNL and set out on his ways and become the next star. But when you watch that movie back, still he's a little cringy acting.
Yeah,
and that's a movie I return to because it seems like it's also for adults, but it holds a very sentimental, special place in our hearts because it reminds you of the 04 Red Sox, and it came out like 05.
Yeah, the year after. Tessie. Great song.
There's such a special feeling to that movie if you're a Red Sox fan. And Drew Barrymore, queen of the rom-com, one of the queens of the rom-com, like seeing her here, man. And Red Sox 04 is like my favorite sports team of all time.
Yeah.
Ever, So that should have gotten drafted. I have another one. I had a take for a little bit. The Rookie was better than Field of Dreams. I haven't seen The Rookie in a while. I'm not ready to commit to that take over the air here. The Rookie, a Disney movie, feels like it's like a hybrid of Miracle and Glory Road, like from Disney. It just feels like it's a mix of those two. It's not as good as Miracle, but it's not as bad as Glory Road. But they still, like, if you look at all three of those movies on the screen, like cinematography, they all look the same. It's not as cheesy as most Disney movies. I love Dennis Quaid in this movie. I think he was awesome. I forgot his name in the freaking movie. But as the lefty,
Teacher.
Good pitching mechanics. I think the first part of the movie with him as a high school baseball coach is arguably the best part of the movie.
Yes. It's slow the rest of the way.
You see a lot, like you see people from like Coach Carter that were like in The Rookie, and they were playing high school students there. And so it's like you see a lot of these faces you recognize, them playing high schoolers here. When he's coaching the Owls, I still remember they had sweet high school jerseys. And then like the iconic moments of him going next to the highway, reaching 90, like throwing right by it. Like those are the type of magic scenes,
Disney
that
scenes.
That scene just had it. It was that Disney scene. Like I don't know how many times I drove past a highway at during nighttime, and I thought about doing that. Just like I used to be a baseball coach. I had like a bucket of balls in the back seat, just like winding up, like trying to maintain good mechanics, fire it by the miles per hour sign and see what I hit. Like everyone thought about doing that because of this movie, So yeah. I think the movie, the one detraction I'd say, sorry, I'll let you speak in a sec. I just really like this movie. It's the last 30 minutes where he makes it to the pros It's not even the best part of the movie. It feels like it's like extending the movie too much. It feels like it's trying to become an epic rather than just a great sports movie. And that's where it kind of goes over the line. And that's where I'm just like, okay, that's why it's not one of the best baseball movies.
Yeah, I agree on all points. I think just a couple other things I'll mention just because he happened is the kid, his son, 2.5 Men guy.
Yes.
Kid. This was like his start, like his like breakout role. So that's that. And I'll say this is a poor man's Field of Dreams. I agree, because the Brian Cox father relationship is they terribly done in this movie. They tried, didn't do it correctly. And they didn't portray Texas baseball well either. But I did like the high school baseball scenes. I thought those were the best parts of the movie. I just don't think Texas was like, yeah, you had a bunch of dirt roads. That's it. That's Texas. Like, no, it's a little more than that, I think. But that's basically what they did. Like, it's not like Friday Night Lights when that's Texas football, you know? They didn't really portray Texas baseball or just the state of Texas well, except that there's dirt, you know, and a couple oil, like there's oil being drilled.
They made it seem like they're playing on a softball field like all the time. You know, it was just like there was no grass anywhere. This is like it's like, you know what, it was like taking 20 miles away from where Holds was taking place, you know, which is
right.
Like
yes
of grass anywhere. They made it sound like they're playing at the goddamn Dust Bowl. You
Yes.
know, you think
Yes.
it's like playing in 1920 or 1930, you know? Good point. Other honorable mentions here. I'll throw another one out here. 8 Men Out. Talk about great cast. Charlie Sheen also in a baseball movie. John Cusack back in a baseball movie. David Strahan also in this one. You got like talk about one of the most infamous teams in sports history, the Black Sox. Like a very intriguing story. I would like to see that adapted to a movie today. I think it could be done even better. Think about this movie. It gets really bogged down by the end. They're in the courtroom so much of the time. And you're just like, I really just want to see John Cusack play third base. Like, I just like, don't want to see any of the rest of this stuff. It gets a little boring and monotonous, but I do remember watching that one a lot as a kid. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I don't particularly love it. I literally had to Google this guy's name because I always forget his name, but he's an amazing actor in so many famous movies, but I call him every time I see him Ed Seacott, and it's David Strathairn or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was in Nomadland, like he's in Lincoln. He's an amazing actor. But
he's doing this like J.K. Simmons like resurgence type of thing, Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, I just always call him Ed Seacott. I'm like, oh, there's Ed Seacott, even though like why it's 8 Men Out. Like it's probably his worst role ever
from a movie from like 1989.
Yeah, so stupid thing there, but yeah, iconic story, 8 Men Out. I'll just run through a bunch here. To be honest, would not have picked any of these, but just some other movies that people are probably thinking of. Hardball, you know, G Baby, R.I.P.
Never seen it.
Keanu right after his peak and speed, basically. Trouble with the Curve. Never would believe Justin Timberlake.
Would not put it on the honorable mentions. That doesn't deserve.
I'm just saying movies that people might like be thinking of right now, like 42, Chadwick Boseman, Harrison Ford. Like people are probably thinking of that one right now. A little too cringy and corny for me. I'm
right here. R.I.P. Chadwick.
No, but like there's like a bunch, like Everybody Wants Some.
I had
like
that one.
That's a good, like college baseball, like that's good, like orientation week, get freshmen going into college, but it's also a baseball movie. Wyatt Russell, Glenn Powell, awesome in that movie, the best character in that movie. That's all his like his kind of breakout role was that movie. So
Tyler Hoechlin too, Superman
and Lois. Yeah. So there's some. Yeah,
I did want to talk about Everybody Wants Some. I wanted to pick that because that's arguably, if I look at this, like the 10 movies we drafted, like Everybody Wants Some, in my opinion, like it's like top 5 of like the movies, just like in terms of the movie itself. The thing is like the baseball, when they play baseball, when they're at practice or captain's practice, it just looks so bad. It looks like they don't know how to play baseball whatsoever. It looks like a bunch of actors like during High School Musical, like when they're like just dancing around with the bats. Like it looks bad. But the other scenes are so good. Like in that movie, like we talk about best
party scenes.
When we talk about best college movies, like I think Everybody Wants Some should get drafted, and that should be streaming and like somewhere. That movie needs to be streaming somewhere because I think that movie is still not seen by a lot of people. And young cast, it's still young to this day. Richard Linklater.
It's Dazed and Confused. Like it's the Dazed and Confused of the modern era for sports movies. 1980. And it's on Prime.
It is. It's on
Yes.
Prime.
Yes.
I'm going to watch that tonight. Everybody wants if it's on
He's
Prime.
watching Bad News Bears, and
You're shaking your hand on that. Like, we are agreeing. It's on Prime. I'll look right now.
Yes, it says watch now Prime subscription.
Let's go. Let's go. But it might,
yeah.
hopefully it doesn't say like you have to be subscribed to Stars and then watch Everybody Wants Some. That would make me unhappy. But continue.
Yeah. No, yeah. I actually think you just said like this was like top 5. I think this movie, like, not exciting till the end really, but just like as a core movie, it's very well done. And I think a lot of it is because of the director. For the Love of the Game.
I like
Kevin
that
Costner,
one.
Sam Raimi.
That's a Sam Raimi film?
Sam Raimi, yeah.
No, like, it's not.
Yes, it is.
What? I don't believe. I gotta look it up. I don't believe you.
All right, I'll type it in so you can hear me.
I'm doing it right now.
Sam Raimi, see, boom.
This is unbelievable. Why did he become a baseball fan? He's too busy with the Evil Dead, and this is right before Spider-Man. Like, what the hell? He's making.
Like, is this his movie right before Spider-Man, 1999? Like, but again, Kevin Costner, the king of the baseball movies.
I can't believe that.
This is like Kevin Costner. For the Love of the Game. John C. Reilly, Brian Cox, the manager here, like Gary Wheeler. I love this movie. A little slow, but at the end it pays off.
I'll never look at Sam Raimi the same. He did For the Love of the Game, the third best Kevin Costner baseball movie. Yes. And he also is like the father of one of the most beloved franchises in superhero history. This is like blowing my mind right now. Sam Raimi. But you know what? John C. Reilly is awesome as the catcher in this movie.
He's a great catcher.
That's what I think of I almost mostly associate with Step Brothers, like John C. Reilly roles as, right? Step Brothers, For the Love of the Game. And this comes like right after
Jerry Buss.
It's like might have been the same year as Magnolia for him. Might have been the same
99, yeah. Magnolia. Yeah. And again, you need a good catcher in a baseball movie. You got him in this. You got Major League, Jake Taylor, League of Their Own, this like great catcher. And that one, like, you need a great catcher in all these movies. And this is just another, obviously, example.
I will say a movie I would never touch. And I hate this movie. I'll even go that far as saying it. It was a rival to The Sandlot and Angels in the Outfield. A Little Big League. I hate this movie. Get this movie out of my face. The kid as the manager. I mean, him like telling like adults what to do rather than actually playing the game. He was way too mature for someone his age. I just never fell in love with this character. I never fell in love with the kid playing the role. I'd much rather watch Henry Rowan Gardner, or I'd rather watch Joseph Gordon-Levitt as the young kids in the baseball movies. This kid was always number 3 in that line of in this subgenre of baseball movies. I was never going to pick Little Big League.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you summed it up well. And the Minnesota Twins, not the same like at least the Cleveland Indians, like with Major League, that was cool. The Tigers, but it was at Yankee Stadium. For the love of the game. You have to have something that draws you. This one just didn't have that. You thought a kid would be like Henry Rowan Gardner. This was the year after, I believe, or no. Yeah, the year after Rookie of the Year. Just didn't have the same appeal. Not actually playing.
Ripping it off. Felt like it wasn't original enough. It was like, okay, this is the in thing. A lot of people want to see Rookie of the Year. Boom, boom, boom. Last one I had on my list, Benchwarmers. I also debated taking this with the 10th pick. Adam Sandler produced, Spade, Heater, Schneider, and what's the guy who's afraid of this? Who's the guy who's afraid of the sun? What's his goddamn name, Ricky? Who's the guy?
Nick Schwartz.
Nick Schwartz. Yes.
I pulled that out of my butt.
One of the most quoted sixth grade / middle school movies of all time. The Benchwarmers. I remember this is how far we are from when we went to elementary school. I remember going to the aquarium in the 6th grade, and on the way back on the coach bus, we put on the Benchwarmers in 6th grade.
Gus Bus.
This is, dude, can you imagine? That's my Miata. But like, can you imagine this day and age in elementary school? On the way home, we watched the Benchwarmers.
Yeah, that's.
You would get a bunch of parent complaints nowadays. That was nuts. I won't rat out our teacher's name. I will not do so. But my dad was a chaperone on the trip, and he may or may not have recommended the movie. All right.
Oh my God.
Any other honorable mentions, Ricky?
This one's not honorable because looking back,
Dishonorable mention.
I've only seen this one time, and it's like I saw it. I was over a friend's house, and we were trying to pick out a movie to watch, and I saw this in his like DVD like collection, and I was like, oh, I've never heard of this movie, and it's a sports movie. We should watch it. And I recognized, oh my God, is that Rudy? Is that Sam from Lord of the Rings? This movie came out in 2007. It's the final season. I've only seen it one time. Sean Astin is the coach of an Iowa baseball team.
Oh, it's Michael Anagrana.
Sky High. This kid from Sky High.
Michael Anagrana.
Yeah, it's the final season.
I've heard of it.
I've only seen it one time. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I was like 12, 10. I was like 10 when I saw it. I have not seen it. I just looked it up. It's on Tubi and Prime. Like, I might have to rewatch it, but I see the Rotten Tomato score, and it's like worse than the Benchwarmers. So it must be awful.
I do remember that kid from Sky High. That was like his follow-up to Sky High. He was in that movie. Then he was in the Stanford Prison Experiment. Shout out canceled Ezra Miller. But yeah, I've never seen it. Never will watch it. I'm comfortable with our list. I think they're pretty good. I'll run through them one more time before we sign off for today's episode. Dr. O has for the best baseball movies: Moneyball, The Natural, Bull Durham, The Bad News Bears, and Angels in the Outfield. Ricky Flicks has The Sandlot, Major League, Field of Dreams, A League of Their Own, and The Naked Gun. That's our list. Ricky Flicks, any final thoughts before we sign off?
Moon Knight tomorrow.
Thank you. Moon Knight episode recap will drop tomorrow. Best of luck watching to all. Buckle up. Make sure you stick with us. 4 days in a row of episodes. Let's keep it rolling. That's going to do it for episode 86 of the Drive-In Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. And make sure that you follow us on all of your listening platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, the whole shebang. Make sure you follow us on social media at the Drive-In Podcast, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. That's all we got for you, folks. This is Dr. O signing off. Until next time, we will smell ya.